Hey, this is the second part of me reviewing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Steel Ball Run. So if you haven't watched the first video, you can go check it out in my YouTube channel. Hello guys, part 1 of this series, if you have watched it, wasn't much of a review, more like how I felt about jumping on a new manga. But from now on, I have prepared myself to indulge more into the contents of the manga and discussing matters with you and saying how I felt about each and every chapter that we read. So with a clear reset in mind, I would very much like to enjoy making this content if you guys help me by subscribing to this YouTube channel and pressing the like button if you enjoyed your precious stay here. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. The first 10 chapters, we get the introduction to various characters. Moving forward, along with the main characters, Johnny Joestar and Gyro Zeppeli. We also get introduced to the main plot of the story, being horse riding across USA. Along with that, starts the first stretch of the race. And as the herd of horse hooves march towards the spiky forest, the old wooden bridge, and the dusty roads of old America, we reach into the finish gate of the first stretch, which brings us to Chapter 11. Chapter 11. The final stretch of 15,000 meter race comes to an end, crowning Gyro Zeppeli as the champion of the first stage. Using his ability of the balls, he was able to outmaneuver Poco Loco's stand-powered Dio's windshield attack and grab the victory. Meanwhile, our main protagonist JoJo and the anomaly of the race, Sandman, were able to close the race with their own prowess and skills. The final stretch of the first 15,000 meter race was an absolute hype. Even the writer was like, fuck it, I'm not going to just directly feed into your mouth of who is going to win the final stretch. He just kept the suspense, and he was just like, I'll keep everybody in a file alongside each other, you guess, because the drop of luck would have decided the winner. But Gyro Zeppeli, with a drop of his luck, with a drop of balls in his cape, he was able to push forward the horse and he won the race. And also there is chapter 11.5, which highlights the journey of Mr. Stephen Steele, the actual inventor, let's say, of the race, with the idea. A single lock of idea, a single drop of hope. This chapter 11 and chapter 11.5 states that that's the moral, right? That's the moral of the whole story, of the whole any story. Drop of luck can get you somewhere. So moving on to chapter number 12. Chapter 12. And just before I start blabbing about dusty roads and horse race, I want to remind you the rules regarding the race. Rule number 1. A race consists of 9 stages, restarting from San Diego to New York. Rule number 2. You cannot kill people or affect their horse riding in any way, or you'll be punished, but only if caught. Rule number 3. You cannot use motor vehicle, only the use of horse or feet in case of Sandman. Rule number 4. An important one. You cannot get new horses if dead or lost. Rule number 5. If in a difficult situation during the race, you are to beg for food and supplies, otherwise known as Sokuriko to Hitotsuin, you are disqualified. Number 6. You are not to skip any checkpoints. Now remember the second point. Yes, you cannot get caught trying to sabotage others. So as one of the admin got glimpse of Gyro using a weapon to sabotage Sandman in the downhill race, he was dropped down to the 21st position. Now, the interesting things are about to start, ladies and gentlemen, because out of nowhere, Stephen Steele, the organizer of the race, is called upon by sheriffs, to report 3 dead bodies of the contestants that were actually racing in the race. It was gone unknown and unnoticed by the participants racing alongside and the admins who were watching over the race. And the mystery continues to the next episode. Chapter 13. Mysteries are to be solved, and to solve that, the sheriff department has already hired the best cowboy in the town, Mountain Tim. Soon enough, the guy who just placed 4th on the race, pushing JoJo below in the ranking, is now investigating the murder of 3 fellow racers. The story moves along, and the second stretch of the race starts. Even more challenging path as the sun above the head of every racer is feared upon, as it is meant to dry out even the eyeballs if not taken care of. So, starting of the second stretch, there are 2 paths. One is long but safe. Another is short but dangerous as it contains the immense heat from the sun that will just dry you out. So, the race starts. Immediately, Gyro just hurries forward. Seeing that, JoJo was like, okay, boss, I'ma go with you. He also leaps forward than other racers. Snap. Gyro takes the short path, which is a dangerous path. And seeing that, JoJo was also like, oh shit, brother, what are you thinking? I'ma go with you. And he goes, because he has to learn something from Gyro. And then, one thing they do not know is that certain man with a blood in his stand is following them. Chapter 14. A blunder seems to appear. Gyro and JoJo are on the same path, and suddenly, in parallel terms to the both main characters, appears a mysterious rider, Miss Robinson. Attempting to blunder the progress of the duo, he tries to sabotage them, but not only to succeed in front of the steel balls Gyro uses. And one thing that I forgot to tell you guys is that if you're wondering why JoJo is following Gyro, well, the point is because he's trying to learn the ways of steel balls from Gyro. Well, the truth being, JoJo is a crippled man and he can neither climb nor come down the horse without that technique. So, in the previous chapter's end, this Miss Robinson guy was portrayed as some kind of a negative aura guy, and like coming into this chapter, I also surely thought this guy is the killer. But after seeing him control insects and all just to provoke Gyro to use his steel balls, I was like, no way this guy just put a rope in a dead 3 bodies and just made up a whole scene. I don't think so. And soon enough, well, surprise surprise, he's not the killer, and there are killers. And they're coming for JoJo and Gyro in the next chapter. And chapter 15, 16 and 17, I'm gonna do it all at once. Now starting off, we are presented a little break as JoJo and Gyro both take rest as they defeat Miss Robinson, and the night also approaches them in the desert. And the story changes a little bit. The story's direction now head on to another story somewhere in Europe. Now hear me out carefully, because this is very important. A small boy of servant's bloodline embarks on his journey to earn money by polishing shoes and brushing hats in a certain European country. The particular country's king has just survived an assassination attempt. The barons, the group of rich nobles and aristocrats, were found guilty of the treason. Unfortunately, the small boy was also named alongside them as his parent took burden and reached the levels as to those traitors of the kingdom. The small boy Marco was arrested, and as the act of treason, he was also to be beheaded alongside them. Now we are forced back into the race. The night grows into the cold and dark desert. Gyro and JoJo's both eyes lay upon a silhouette heading towards them. Precaution taken as neither of them approached the silhouette. As I said in the end of part 1 of the series, as stand powers are to appear in the story more consistently, weird shits start to happen. I won't go much into the details, but the silhouette was a trap. Both Gyro and JoJo somehow got trapped into the group of 3 riders, all chasing the 51.5 million prize pool of the race to share amongst them. The one that were able to trap both Gyro and JoJo were called the Boom family that placed 9th, 10th and 8th position in the race. Both Gyro and JoJo are unknown to the fact that is this superior advantage the Boom family possess, which is later on in the chapter, in some later chapters, is seen by Gyro Zeppeli to be the stand power as we know of. So Gyro still does not know what that is, but still manages to see it in time somehow to manage escape from those 3. There is no name to represent the stand given in the chapter, so I'm just gonna call it the metal stand, which is used by one of the 3 guys in the group. To sum up what happened in these 3 chapters is that this Boom family is now portrayed by the author as to being the killer of the 3 bodies, but my suspicion lies here, okay? This Boom family won $51.5 million, which is the prize pool of all like first place, second place and third place altogether, and they are going after Gyro and JoJo, okay, which are the the winning contestant which might win the race. But the thing is, the 3 riders that were riding and died weren't even close to top 10. They were the like the 3000th rider in the race, and why would they even try to kill them? Exactly, trying to head on kill or damage Gyro or JoJo, but they are trying to make the sheriff behind him, Mountain Tim, to come along and just hand them over the victory and the satisfaction of seeing the both of the winning contestant die. So I still don't think that they are the killers, but let's see what happens. I might be wrong here, okay? This is Hirohiko Araki we're talking about. I sound so much like a dick rider, but it's okay. It's okay. It's Hirohiko Araki and we cannot judge or we cannot predict what it's going to do, but yeah, let's see if these are the killer or not. So the last part of this video, chapter 18 and 19. The runaway from the Boom family slows down as yet another guy infected from the metal stand nears JoJo and Gyro, that man being Mountain Tim. The metal stand's magnetic power pulls 3 of them together, okay, and seeing that Johnny Joestar is also suffering the same consequence of the cursed ability as he is suffering, he soon enough realized that Johnny Joestar is not the killer of the 3 bodies, and somebody is forcing him to believe in so. So, Tim uses his stand to keep his distance, as he can also use a rope stand. But The Boom family are against that and have to get the 3 champion riders of the race out of the race. So they decided to interrupt. So at this point, Mountain Team is convinced that this guy who cannot even climb up and climb down his horse by his own without using the steel balls is going to kill anybody at this point, and he just verdicts Johnny Joestar as innocent and tells Gyro and Johnny while being pulled that he was the left alive man out of the whole, like this ancient squadron of enemies that were just forced to go into this desert in this hot and dry path, and he was this left survivor, the only lone survivor who accidentally got blessed, or let's say cursed, by this Indian temple that goes around the desert randomly and gives others curse. And he that's how he got the rope thingies, the rope stand. I have decided to end this video on chapter 19, as chapter 20 consists a major story or backstory that is going to link up to maybe chapter 21, 22, 23. I do not know, and I can already foresee it. I'm good at reading manga, and this is it for today's video. And I personally, I am enjoying Steel Ball Run, and thanks to this comment who also says and that Steel Ball Run is a great story. And if you like me reviewing this content and just giving my reaction to all these chapters and so on, consider subscribing to this YouTube channel and hitting that bell icon. And I can already foresee the next episode is gonna start off a banger as much as I can do. So bye bye, and see you guys in the next video.